because 20 years of writing to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, doing the science, going to Norway, meeting the companies and the shareholders, it is my strong impression that DFO puts the corporate salmon before the wild salmon. And this is not working out for our fish. There's very serious disease problems, epidemics in our wild sockeye. DFO is muzzling their scientists, which is exactly how the East Coast cod collapsed. And it's just enough is enough. So during this federal election, I want the federal candidates to really look at this situation and decide how they're going to go forward. Are they going to support our communities and the wild fish, or are they just going to, be all about the corporate fish?
When you say corporate fish, who owns these corporate fish?
Salmon farming in British Columbia is 92% Norwegian owned. It's just 3 companies, Grieg, Mainstream, also called Cermaq, and Marine Harvest. These companies operate all over the world, and they're farming Atlantic salmon here, feeding them on Chilean fish. I honestly don't think the industry is sustainable just from an economics point of view. I mean, imagine bringing fish from Chile to feed fish from the Atlantic. With the price of fuel rising and all the rest of it, I think that people in the industry should really think about whether their jobs are secure, whether or not we bring some control over this industry. I think on its own it's going to fizzle out and die.
So this is why I'm eating Atlantic salmon. This is why Atlantic salmon, that's what's in the grocery stores here. Is that because it's farmed? That's not really Atlantic salmon, it's farmed salmon, right?
That's right. It's really not even salmon. I mean, it's dyed to be pink, and it's raised in very unnatural circumstances. Salmon are nomads and they're built to move. And so when they get held in a feedlot situation, the viruses, the bacteria, and the parasites, I call them the little guys, they multiply like crazy. And so when the wild fish go by, particularly the young one, clouds of these pathogens are coming out of these feedlots. We know with birds, you would not allow wild birds to land in chicken farms and go on. We learned that because of avian flu. We don't allow wild deer to mix with cows because you don't want that bovine tuberculosis to spread. But when it comes to fish, people have pretending that they don't know this is a problem. So, I'm co-authored over 20 scientific papers on this. I got an honorary doctorate of science from Simon Fraser University for my science on sea lice from salmon farms. The DFO just refuses to see this, and the core of the problem is the policy says salmon farms are okay and they're good for the public. This is exactly what happened with the North Atlantic cod. The policy was they're fine, they're not being overfished, but the reality was they were going extinct. And even when DFO scientists said they're going extinct, DFO said, you sit down and be quiet, because they blindly followed policy right over the cliff, and they took the East Coast with it. All those communities are hurting still for the loss of those fish. They were one of the biggest food supplies on Earth for humans, one of the biggest natural food supplies. And nobody in DFO was accountable. So Minister Gail Shea and I have been in correspondence since she's been a minister. I've asked her to close the border because we don't want any more of these eggs coming in, because there's viruses following this industry all around the world. She refuses. Number one, the public needs to work on their federal candidates right now and just say, I'm not going to vote for you if you're going to keep these salmon feedlots in our ocean. Second of all, don't ever buy this stuff, just boycott it, because with our money we can cause things to die or to flourish. We actually are in control. We always think that we're not, but we are, and so it's who we vote for and where we spend our money. And then you just need to hound your members of parliament and whoever becomes prime minister. They do respond eventually. What I've learned is actually you need to take it to the streets. And so last year we had 7,000 people show up at the parliament buildings. Apparently it wasn't enough, so we're doing it again on May 1st, May Day, for wild salmon. And just peacefully, powerfully say, we want our wild salmon, get those feedlots out of the ocean, take care of the people in the industry. There's only about 1,000 of them. We can do some more creative aquaculture on land farther down the food chain, because it doesn't make sense to go fishing in the South Pacific and then bring those fish up here, throw them in the water to feed these Atlantic salmon, and then take out less fish. It's a crazy corporate scheme, and demand more local access, local decisions, local resources. We really, a lot of people call me a NIMBY, which means not in my backyard, but really I say NIMBYs unite, because I had a very quiet life planned for myself in the wilderness, studying the vocalizations of whales. And when this industry moved into my town, I tried to avoid it, but I was the only biologist, I was the only one with a word processor, and so I've just stayed on it and just followed them no matter what it takes, whether it's the science or going to Norway. And the people are in control of this. Just say no more in every way you know how.